All right, so this is the two trades we had today. So we had that breakout for calls, ended up reaching 155 points profit. And then we also had here a nice retest. We were just looking for a drop really into that order block in order to possibly look for another entry for people that might maybe miss the breakout because the breakout was quick. You're going to hear me go over in the pre-market. Hey, I want to look for a breakout for calls at 29,175, which is also what I posted on my watch list. And sure enough, let everyone know this might be quick. Just get ready. Breakout occurred 175. Fully know that some people just can't enter trades that fast or don't want to. They don't want to. So just mentioned, hey, watch a retest into the order block and then, a stop loss basically at 190. If it fails below 190, the trade is invalidated with an entry roughly around anywhere in the order block. So if someone wanted to enter at 213, if they wanted to enter at 200, regardless, stop loss would be at 190. So as you can see, pretty solid trade there. Moved right on the way up, roughly to 29,329 for 155 points. Um, Great trading day. Trading live every single day, by the way. I get those questions on these YouTube channels a lot. I trade options, futures, calling out NASDAQ, so NQ and QQQ every single day. If we can get a single ticker set up that I have time to call out, I try to call those out as well, but they don't happen often. And everything is handled inside of the Circle community. All right. So what I really just want is a like, comment, and subscribe. That's great. But if you want to trade live with us, that link is below. All right. Have a good one. All right, this was based on order flow, order book level 2, and time in sales. Like to use volume footprint on this as well to identify, possible key zones and see how that starts to react, how the point of control inversions work. I'm sorry, the delta inversions and the point of control zones, how we reacted. So you can see that point of control forming here at the order block in the pre-market and then starting to rip straight from there because it held the zone. And you can see when it came back into my order block, just bounced off of it beautifully twice, just to end up ripping later in the day here with NVIDIA's earnings announcement. So great to see that play out. And as always, we got the students' profits as well. So you love to see it. People are crushing it across the board. Normally on a daily basis here, we had someone sell Meta a little bit too early. We also had that Meta trade. I'll go ahead and show you guys. This is again from the watch list, but Meta ended up selling for 1,773% profit. Incredible, incredible. And this was, again, I would just base this off of a breakout of the range. Meta had strong push in the pre-market. So I said, hey, if you're looking for a breakout for calls, got to be watching around 59.85. However, you need to be cautious of 600, whole psychological number, nasty key level that we reject many, many times before in the past on Meta. And I said, if you want to wait for a break and retest for calls of 600, that would be viable. And then watching actually for a breakout for puts at 592.34 price. Opened, it came up, rejected 592.44, started to sell through, flushed that opening print beautifully. And then, as you can see, this was just a gorgeous, gorgeous sell off. And when the volume is that high, you can hold the trade and let it keep going because the volume is telling you, hey, there's no reason to get out of this trade. It wants to keep selling. So a lot of value in this trade today. This goes to show, hey, just follow your system. If you might have had a choppy day the day prior, don't just assume the next day is going to be choppy just because of it. Just execute your system, let your trades work, let them play out. You target that 3-to-1, 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio. You're going to do pretty well. Okay, on this trade here, even with scaling out, I ended up getting a 3.9 R on the day, 3.9 R with this trade. So great to see. Love to see it. All right. So as always, 1% better. Boom. Every single day. You guys have a good one. See you in the next one. So I got a breakout for calls on NQ at 29,175. That's going to line up with 708.35. All right. You got a breakout for puts at 29,111. That's going to line up with, I did put 707.41, but that is definitely off. It's going to line up more so with 707. So that'll be edited real quick. 707. All right. Then I got a breakout for Tesla. Got a breakout for calls at 347.2 or a breakout for puts at 345.65. Apple, going to be watching for a breakout for calls at 310.4 on Apple, or I'm going to be watching for a breakout for puts at 309. All right. And then last but not least is Meta. I do love this rejection. This is really good on Meta. I would love it to reject on everything right now. That's what would be great. Meta, I'd love to watch for a breakout for calls at 598. All right. Now, something you have to keep in mind is 600 can form as a wall. It can just be too strong of resistance. We reject and sell through. So that's why I put, or you can do a break and retest of 600. So you can watch just to see if it breaks out, let it break out. And as long as it doesn't get past 607.50, if it can come back all the way to 600, you can watch for a retest opportunity. Okay. If you're not willing to take the breakout at 598. And then otherwise, if we get a complete reversal, I'd like to watch for a breakout for puts at 592. Okay. On Meta. Mainly into that 581.50 area is where I would watch it into. Okay. We also have NVIDIA earnings today. So very big day for the market. That's after the close. We might chop all day today as well, guys. I mean, yesterday we did. We consolidated for the majority of it, right? There was that trade idea I gave you guys. What was that? 160 point short. Great. If you got it, cool. Good for you. If not, you're in my boat. I didn't take it. Followed my rules. So it could have just been a small winning day for you yesterday. But relatively pretty much like consolidation, right? Besides that wick, if I removed that wick, this is consolidation. And that wick, you guys all watched it happen because some of you were still in the short trade. We're on the live. What did I say? Right when it started to bounce at 29,162, I said, sell the whole thing. That's what I said. I said, sell the whole thing. These things always bounce aggressively. And sure enough, it did. It came all the way back up just to chop around forever. So we do want to keep that in mind. If we do approach that key level, you can see that's right where it bounced yesterday. That's why I told you to get out right away. And that's where we're bouncing right now. So I'm using 29,142 as my pivot point on the NASDAQ today. We hold above 142. I want to look for longs. We get below 142. I want to look for puts, for shorts. Okay. And then obviously we need to respect 270. Look at this key level in my in the pre-market, how well it's been respected. So because I got to break out for calls at 175, right? That's what I'm watching for. But based on how it's been reacting so far, I might have to wait a little bit longer. I'll know better here in the next 40 seconds. I would like this to reject even more. If this can reject even more, I'll just try to go short at 140. Okay. If volume's not high, I'm going to wait out my original plan, a breakout for puts at 111 or possibly a break and retest of 175 if volume doesn't look great. All right. But as of now, I might be taking an early entry. Tesla's so weak here. Tesla's weak. So is NVIDIA. SPY is consolidating, but to the downside. All right. Okay. I'm still going to watch 175. I'm sticking to the original plan. I'm going to watch 175 for calls. If we get weak, yes, I'll look for an early entry around 43. Okay. If we start to fail 143 aggressively. Might be quick here. Yeah, it's a little too quick. That's a little too quick. Scale out. Scale out. Obviously, I'm not expecting a lot of you to have entered this. Don't worry about it. Don't chase it. Don't chase it. If you're in it, you're in it. Okay. It's 35 points, so make sure you've scaled out at least once. You want to be targeting 63 points next, guys. 63 points next. Contracts have moved really well. Scale out again now. This is where I would scale out again. That's 40 points profit. This is a 2-to-1 R exit. This trade would have had a 20-point stop loss. All right, just got filled on that push right there. $2.80 a contract, guys. That's 60 points profit right here. Again, if that's not clear, this is a 3-to-1 R exit now. Again, I don't expect any of the beginners to be in this trade. You would have had to have taken this on your own, obviously. Like I said, it was a little too quick. All right, stop loss should be at entry at this point. Stop loss should be at entry. Now, what you can watch for is a retest of the exact same level, 29,175. Preferably, though, I would like it to retest the order block, 29,200. That's what I'd like it to retest, preferably. All right, good trade so far. Contracts have moved very well. Again, we've moved from 220 a contract to 290 a contract here. 220 to 290. Waiting for 95 points. If you did chase this, full exit here. Full exit right here. That's 100 points. Let's go. Again, not a beginner-friendly trade. That's 107 points. Not a beginner-friendly trade. Too fast to call it out. It happened, like I said this might just happen right away. Might be too quick. It's okay. So what I want to tell you guys, what I said, hey, let me wait for 30 seconds to tell you my theory. And then those last 30 seconds when I said, okay, I'm actually just going to watch for a breakout for calls at 175, and I'm not going to go short unless we slip through 140. The reason I said that is because how those orders started to shift on the order book in the pre-market. So sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes in the pre-market, all right, props, full exit for prop firm. sometimes in the pre-market, you can tell where the heavier orders are residing. So you can make an educated assumption and say, all right, based on all these orders sitting at this ask wall, I'm expecting them to be filled right away at the open. Now, all you have to ask, is that the level where I wanted to enter for calls? If the answer is yes, send it. Just send it. Worst case, you get stopped out, right? Remember, it's not bad if we get stopped out. Remember that, guys. You get stopped out. That's part of your risk plan. It is okay to be stopped out of trades. I would rather get stopped out of a trade than allow the fear of getting stopped out hold me back from taking winning trades. Correct? So I know that would have been a more difficult trade, obviously, because there's no time to really call that out. All you know is, hey, James wants to get in calls at 175. That's about it. So I know it might have been a little bit scary because you're taking the trade on your own. But as you can see, very, very high risk to reward ratio. Because why? What did I tell you guys earlier? I said, hey, we're going to shoot for that key level, 29,270, right? So you knew exactly where to send the full trade to, basically, to where you would be taking that majority exit, all right? 2-to-1 traders, you're doing a totally different thing. It doesn't matter. But people who scale out, you know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You hit 100 points in less than 5 minutes. Where else are you going to find that, right? What other strategy is going to let you do that? So whenever you see it on the order book, when you see those orders start to stack before the market opens, if you're seeing 1,000, 2,000 plus orders hitting the order book and then being transferred to the tape right when the market opens, man, it's going to move. It's going to move. All right. And I know I said not to chase this. If some of you chased it anyway, and you obviously made money and you got paid for that, make sure you journal that. Okay. Make sure you journal that. It's not that it was an obvious thing. No, it's not that it was obvious. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just that it's pointing in that direction. Hey, this thing might want to start to take off. So I want to be ready to get into that trade. All right. So a rejection at the key level is expected. Now, preferably what I'd like to see is for this to pull back into 200 and then get another bounce. That's preferably what I'd like to see. If it starts to slip 200 aggressively, I don't want it slipping by more than 10 points. If it fails below 190, in my opinion, it's invalidated. Because then it's just a reversal is what it is. It's just a reversal. And then I'd want to stay a little patient. All right, it's tapping the order block now. This is where I'm hoping it bounces. There we go. Good little bounce there. This is good. Even if it does end up coming to 200, it's okay, mainly because I don't want it to just sell straight down. That does mean that there's a lot of sellers present. It's a little difficult. So one thing we need to watch for here as we approach 200, one thing I want to watch for is how NVIDIA starts to react. All right, we can see AMD is strong. We can see Apple is holding its pre-market low, but we do see Tesla is extremely weak. All right, nice. Now it's getting a legitimate bounce, but look at NVIDIA. That's what I mean. It's moving with NVIDIA. So this is where I would scale out from the order block. All right, that's about 30 points profit from the order block, guys. So make sure you scale out from that bounce. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Contracts moved really well, too. Your contracts moved actually tremendously. You went from 210 a contract all the way up here to 270 a contract. I was watching the 710 calls. I'm assuming you would have bought the 710s there instead. Gorgeous trade for you guys. Really good. Look at that. Textbook bounce, huh? Sorry. Let me write that out for you. That's your second trim, by the way, the key level. Sorry. You're on your own on this trade. Just you do your own thing on this trade. I'm just going to focus on this, the main one, okay? Yeah, I want to go for 329. That's what I want to go for next. So here's the deal. 29,270 to 29,300. High probability for a rejection. All right? High probability for rejection. If you want to take a full exit up here, wouldn't blame you at all. I wouldn't blame you at all. There is a good chance we reject this range. So I'm majority out of this position. I have 5% of my position left at this point. Just because it's the day of NVIDIA earnings. I'm not looking for like some crazy, astronomical Emmys worthy move. I'm just looking, this 100-point move is great. If you got in on the retest and you got, your 60 points, that's a great trade also. Beautiful trade, honestly. You got your profit in 1 minute, right? You can't complain about that. But I do think this 154 is unlikely. I think it's unlikely we hit it. There's a chance. That's why I'm leaving a baby runner position. I love to do that. I much rather always get stopped out of my trades at the entry or somewhat in profit as opposed to just cutting it. But just my assumption is that there's a strong probability between 29,270 and 29,300 on the NASDAQ we just reject. So we do need to be cautious of that. We need to respect this range. It is a stubborn range from what I remember. And we don't have the best volume either. By the way, the 723,000 on the tape, that first initial push had some good volume, but that was why we had a 20-point stop loss again. If you guys heard me when I said, hey, 40 points, this is technically a 2-to-1 R. And then right when I said that, it pushed to 60 points profit. So I'm sure a lot of you got a 3-to-1 R, but technically that trade was a 20-point stop loss or 15% simply because that volume is relatively low. All right. And again, what are low volume moves susceptible to? Manipulation. So that's why you're seeing a lot of back and forth here. Luckily, the one trade idea that I gave you that worked out tremendously. And then the second one right here, when I said, hey, I want to see a pullback into this order block and see the bounce of the order block around 200. Luckily, they worked out pretty well here, but they are very susceptible to manipulation. So that's why it's not the best to just be jumping into the moves, without a game plan in place. So we have a very strong reversal here on Tesla. Look at that. Very strong reversal on Tesla. S&P is bouncing aggressively here. NVIDIA closed green on that candle bounce of 211.34. All right. Just trying to see how this plays out now. I'll be completely honest with you. No, I didn't size down today. But part of the reason I didn't size down is just because of how much money I made on Monday. That's really it. I do think it was smart to size down today, unless you had a massive win on Monday. Just my opinion, guys. Just my opinion. So, all right. Remember, you have a second opportunity here to take this full exit up here at the key level. Good job, guys. Michael Hendricks, totally okay, man. That's why you have retests like this. So you should have got the retest just fine. Yeah, Christopher, it's not that I know it's going to take off. I'm just making, hey, this looks like it wants to, like an educated assumption, if you will. But that's kind of where I'm getting that mindset in my head. I'm like, hey, it's worth a shot, right? Just send it. I don't mind taking the stop loss. A lot of breakouts at the open, I would say your first maybe 2 years, they're going to feel pretty scary, right? Because they're very high risk, high reward trades. So, because the trade can completely reverse on you. You can see the order flow coming in on the tape, and then it can completely turn around in 3 seconds, right? So it's just one of those things. Yeah, I'm not going to do polls every day, guys. I do the polls when I want to do the polls. All right. This is the last time I'm going to entertain this. Do not ask me for a poll anymore. All right, hold on. I got to scale out of my position a little bit here. All right, let's scale out some. 29,300. I'm just selling a little bit early just because that's a reject area, okay? It's 124 points profit. All right, 124 points profit right there. If this wasn't clear before and you're on a prop firm, I would be fully out of the trade. If you got it on the retest, I would be fully out here. You're basically at 100 points profit. Just take the full exit here. Call it a day. Don't try to take another trade. If you're trading a prop firm, this is your sign to call it a day. Don't take another trade. You just achieved $200 profit with one MNQ. Call it a day. All right. I'll go ahead and mark that out right here. Bounce retest 100 points. Yeah, just like I said, not every single day is going to be some massive winning trade. All right. So, like I said, just because just because yesterday, good job, JD. You took AMD. Good eye, man. Good eye. That's freaking awesome, dude. What was I going to say? Oh, don't allow a previous day being a little bit rocky to make you sit on your hands the next day. All right. But I'll do a poll here. If you didn't trade, you can just mark a no trade. Okay. All right, I'm gonna end it in a few seconds. All right. I got 90% green, 5% red, 5% no trade. 90% green, 5% red, 5% no trade. Now, again, to the no traders, I'm assuming you just determined this is too risky for you. You didn't like it. It's too fast. Good. Okay. I'm assuming the retest, I'm assuming you wanted to see an on-the-spot retest of 200, so you skipped it. All I would challenge you to say is just remember this is an order block. It's not an exact level. That's why I've gone through the trouble of drawing a rectangle here for you, a shaded rectangle. All right. So the whole purpose was a retest of the order block. And just like I told you when it did start to bounce, like I told you, hey, this still looks great. Even if it does come down to 200, I still like this, right? That's what I told you guys. So you just want to ask yourself, if both of those trade ideas, you were like, dude, there's no way these are going to work, and then you just decided to not take both, I think you did a good job because you told yourself you did not like those trades. So you followed your system today. Your system resulted in you staying cash. Now, you might not believe me when I say this, but you are a winner today. You did a good job because the whole thing I'm trying to get past, that barrier in your head, especially the stubborn barrier that surrounds day trading and money, is when you follow your system, you will be profitable in the long run. But I don't want you to think just because, hey, I skipped 2 setups today that works great and I'm cash, I did something wrong. No, you did not. No, you did not. Okay, you followed your system. You're being disciplined. You did a great job. All right, you did a great job. Let me compare. Let's say I'm going to zoom out of this real quick. By the way, I would love to see this whole 270, what it's trying to do right now, because obviously that's our next key level. In my opinion, if for some reason someone's still holding runners and that those runners make a difference to you, it's safe to say a good stop loss and profit is around 260. Very, very good. I don't know why someone's doing laughing emojis. I have no idea. Bella, yeah. The main reason for entering was because of those large orders coming in on the order book. That's why I told you guys, give me about 30 seconds and I'll readjust this. And that's why once 30 seconds had passed and the market was going to open in about 40 seconds, that's why I was like, hey, switching my game plan. I want to go long at 175. Because if you remember just before that, I'm like, hey, honestly, I might take a rejection of 175 depending on how this sets up, right? Which was obviously a shift to my watch list. But obviously the order book started to print a little bit differently. And then that's when I'm like, okay, this wants to rip now instead. So I'm just going to plan for breakout for calls at 175. So. Hey, yeah, sometimes we make money in 2 minutes and sometimes we lose money in 2 minutes, right? The polar opposite can always happen. All right, it's bouncing 270, so that is good. I would be very surprised if we continue to push. I really would be. 270 to 300 is just such a stubborn area. Oh, that's what I was going to show you guys is the comparison. So again, some of you guys were red yesterday, right? There were some of you guys that were red yesterday. Imagine if you had stayed cash yesterday because it was part of your system. But maybe you jumped into these trades because I got into them. So you're like, oh, I'm going to get into it too. But you didn't scale out with me. You said, hey, I'm going for 60 points. That's my 2-to-1 R. And then you just took 2 stop losses yesterday, And then you're like, well, hey, whatever. At least I followed my system. That's what I want you to remember on days like today when you stay cash and you're looking at the market going, dude, I could have easily made, a 3 to a 4 ROI today. Like, that's beautiful. And hey, the guidance was on point, right? Like we took the rep for calls. He said he's expecting a rejection at the key level. Then we got the rejection. I could have rode puts down. Then he said it could bounce the order block. Then it bounced the order block. Man, could have been a great trade. Yeah, you can say the what ifs all day, but what ifs don't pay the bills, right? What ifs don't really get you anywhere. So, no, AMD is healthy, man. AMD is pulling back. Like it has pullbacks within the 5-minute candles. That's healthy. It's fine. It's totally fine. Yeah, Tesla, full reversal in Tesla. It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. All right, if this gives up 270, again, in my opinion, I think 260, you're about to hit it at one point. I think 260 is a good trailing stop in profit for anyone who, for some reason, did not sell between 100 to 124 points. If you were just like, hey, I want to see 200 points, I get it, but don't give up too much. This is where I would stop and profit right now. All right. You can't let it go all the way back down. It's just unreasonable. Unreasonable. Okay. Because remember, you have those drawdown rules you need to be abiding by, and you can't afford to just let it go. Right. So Meta did end up selling quite well also from the 592.34 area I was concerned about. Market opened, tapped that level, rejected it perfectly, and then just dumped. Absolutely dumped on Meta. So, and that's why I was looking for that. Remember what I told you, 600 could form as a nasty wall and it could dump. We didn't even get to 600. We just pushed with the news and then sold through. So let's see how those Meta contracts. Those Meta contracts were astronomical. Oh my goodness. Wow. You guys, you're not going to like seeing this unless you took the trade, obviously. So these contracts hit a peak of. So if you entered at my level, it would have been filled around $1.01 a contract. This trade hit 1,773% profit. That's how much those Meta contracts moved. Holy moly. That's crazy. That blows AMD out of the water. That's crazy. Because I think those AMD contracts moves like 400%. Yeah. Yeah, right around 400% on the AMD, 400 to 500% on the AMD contracts. AMD wasn't my plan, obviously. It's just moved really well. That's crazy. I love to see the Goku gif, Hector. It's awesome. Guy makes 20 grand and then posts a Goku picture. You gotta love to see it. Good job, guys. I see a lot of you got on the retest. Guys, you saw this happen today. You saw this happen. Obviously, yesterday was quite difficult. You saw this happen, I believe. Yes, we also saw this happen on Monday. I gave that retest spot, right? I told you, hey, if it pulls back into that key level, you could look for a retest. And then I believe it happened Friday as well, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I feel like I would have written it down. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it did. I feel like I did. But regardless, I mean, look at the trades, right? Regardless, more often than not, right? When you look at my levels, more often than not, you can find good retests. More often than not. So I don't want you guys to ever feel like you have to rush into a trade. That's one of the worst feelings. I got to tell you from experience. It's a terrible feeling rushing into a trade. It's a terrible feeling chasing a trade when you know, like, oh my gosh, dude, if this thing doesn't rip, I'm getting stopped out. Like, I'm going to get stopped out. Because when you do get stopped out, it causes quite a bit of frustration. Causes quite a bit of frustration, for sure. I'm gonna record this really fast. I prefer not to have laughing emojis, whoever was doing that. All right. So it's 8:55. We got into a trade at the market open just based on how the order book was reacting right away. We've written this up for 124 points. And then all I did was mention this order block retest right here for some students if they wanted to jump in. And luckily, some of them were able to get into it and absolutely crushed it. So love to see it. Love to see it. Good job, guys. Good job. I saw someone ask yesterday also how to draw these order blocks. This is all I'm doing. Tyler in here actually helped me find it one day. I just click this paintbrush symbol and I click rectangle. And like, let's say you wanted to make this an order block. You just click once, drag to where you want it, and then it's good. And I didn't really change any settings, but if we need to see them, I don't know what else I need to show really. Like, I didn't really do anything. I don't think I did, at least. Because someone was like, how is it shaded and all that? Yeah, settings. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else I can really do, I guess. Extend right. Oh, that's probably what it is. Yeah, because I don't extend it left because then it just goes forever. So I extend it right. So, and then that's how you change the outside color. And then that's how you change. Oh, this is how you change the inside color. So just so you know. And again, there's a nice job, Haven. That's awesome. Good for you, bro. some of you as well. Let me try to find it for you. I know a lot of you are new and you don't want to go look, so I will look for you. There's that next PT. Hold on a second. Let me see where these contracts have gone to. No, I'm not trimming here. Contracts are the same value, but you're more than welcome to if you'd like. So that's 155 points profit. 155 points profit right there. Again, QQQ contracts have really not gained any more value, so I'm not trimming again, me personally. There's no point. But it is a good trim for the NASDAQ. Again, I normally wouldn't be trimming this close. Like we trimmed at 107, 125, 155. I normally wouldn't be trimming this close, but as you've seen, we had a low volume open, right? It's been pretty low volume all day. We're just slowly moving up. That's why you're seeing these aggressive pullbacks while it still moves up. That's just what happens when there's low volume. And we were very cautious of 270 to 300 forming as a reject area. So we're just covering our bases. We're covering our risk a little bit more than normal simply because of that. All right.